The studio was glowing under the warm lights of Good Morning America. The cameras rolled, the audience waited in polite silence, and for a moment, everything felt calm, too calm. Nobody could have predicted that what started as a routine interview would soon turn into a full-blown media firestorm. Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you think really caused Miranda Lambert to completely lose it on live television. Miranda Lambert, country royalty and unapologetic firebrand, sat poised in her chair, wearing her trademark confidence like armor. Across from her sat Michael Strahan, the ever-charming host who had weathered countless interviews without breaking a sweat. But today would be different. The introduction was smooth, even friendly. Michael smiled at the camera, his tone cheerful and measured. "So Miranda, your new album just dropped and fans are absolutely loving it. But some critics say you've been playing it safe this time. Same formula, same sound. What do you think about that?" Miranda smiled politely, but her eyes said otherwise. That single question had struck a nerve. She leaned in just slightly, her voice calm yet razor sharp. "Well, Michael, I'd argue those critics haven't actually listened to the album. This is the most personal and raw thing I've ever done. Safe is the last word I'd use." The tension was subtle at first, like a spark in a quiet room. Michael nodded, pretending to agree, but his curiosity was clearly itching for more. "I hear you," he continued. "But when you look at the track list, it does feel similar to your past work. Same themes, same production style. Do you ever worry about being seen as predictable?" Miranda's smile faltered, just for a second. Her posture stiffened. "Predictable," she echoed, letting the word hang heavy in the air. "Michael, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I know exactly who I am. I don't chase trends, I set them. If that makes me predictable, then I guess I'm guilty of being authentic." The air in the studio shifted, subtle but unmistakable. The audience felt it too, that invisible current of unease. Michael, sensing he might have pushed too far, gave a small laugh and tried to pivot. "Fair enough," he said lightly. "But some fans love that consistency, while others feel they've already heard these themes before. Do you ever feel pressure to reinvent yourself?" Miranda tilted her head, her tone cool and deliberate. "I don't think reinvention should be forced. I write about my life, Michael. And if that feels familiar, maybe it's because I'm still the same person, living, loving, hurting, and telling my truth." The response drew a soft murmur from the audience. You could almost hear the producers holding their breath behind the cameras. Michael, ever the professional, saw an opening and took it. "Speaking of your truth," he said, "let's talk about your live shows. There's been some chatter online about your stance on fans filming during concerts. Some people think you're being a little harsh. What's your take on that?" The atmosphere thickened instantly. Miranda's jaw tightened, her hands clasped together on her lap. When she finally spoke, her tone had changed, firm, unwavering, almost defiant. "When I'm on that stage, I give everything I have. I want my fans to feel it, not just record it. It's not about phones, it's about connection." The audience clapped softly, unsure whether it was in support or discomfort. Michael leaned forward, trying to keep his composure. "But these are your fans, right? They pay good money to see you. Don't they have the right to capture their memories?" Miranda's expression didn't budge. "They absolutely have that right, Michael. But there's a difference between enjoying a show and hiding behind a screen. I'm not up there for people to collect Instagram content. I'm there to create a moment, and moments lose their power when you're too busy filming them." The tension was undeniable now. Michael pressed on, his voice measured but pointed. "Still, social media is a big part of an artist's image these days. Fans sharing your performance, it's basically free advertising." Miranda's laugh was soft, but sharp enough to cut glass. "Free advertising?" she repeated. "I don't need free publicity. What I need is respect. I want real people in front of me, not a sea of glowing screens." A hush fell over the audience. Even through the bright lights, you could sense how raw the energy had become. Michael tried to play mediator again, his tone dipping into diplomacy. "I understand your point, but isn't there room for compromise? Times are changing. Maybe fans just experience things differently now." Miranda leaned back in her chair, eyes locked on him. Compromise, she said slowly, almost tasting the word. I'm not compromising the art I pour my soul into. If being present is too much to ask, then maybe they don't belong at my show. It was no longer just an interview. It was a standoff wrapped in politeness. The producers exchanged anxious glances off camera, realizing things were veering dangerously off script. But Michael wasn't done. Okay, let's switch gears, he said, forcing a small laugh. You've been active on social media lately, sharing opinions, making statements. Do you ever worry about alienating fans with your honesty? Miranda's answer came without hesitation. If someone stops supporting me because I speak my mind, then they were never a real fan. I'm not here to please everyone. I'm here to be honest. The crowd murmured again. A few people even clapped quietly, though the atmosphere remained thick with unease. Michael adjusted in his seat, pushing his luck. But you have such a large platform. Don't you feel a responsibility to be careful about what you say? Miranda's tone sharpened, her confidence unshakable. Responsibility means using your voice when it matters, not staying silent just to keep everyone comfortable. I'm not going to censor myself, Michael. Not for clicks, not for comfort. There was a moment of silence so heavy it seemed to swallow the room. Michael took a slow breath before asking, but doesn't that kind of boldness ever scare you? You might lose fans, endorsements. Miranda cut in before he could finish. Then I lose them. I'd rather be respected for being real than loved for being fake. That line hit like a thunderclap. The audience erupted, some clapping, others whispering, and the air buzzing with electric tension. Michael, still trying to maintain control, gave a forced chuckle. All right, well, let's talk about something lighter. But it was too late. The temperature in the studio had changed. You could feel it in the way Miranda crossed her arms, the way Michael hesitated before his next question. He went for it anyway. There's been some talk lately about your personal life, specifically your marriage. Do you want to clear the air? A gasp rippled through the studio. Miranda froze for a second, then slowly turned to face him with eyes that could burn through the lens. My marriage, she said slowly, her voice calm but icy, is none of your business, Michael. Michael blinked, visibly thrown off by her tone. The audience grew still, the faint hum of studio lights suddenly feeling deafening. For a brief moment, no one moved. You could practically hear the silence. I didn't mean to pry, Michael began, trying to recover, his smile faltering just a little. It's just that the tabloids have been running with stories lately. I figured you might want to clear the air yourself rather than let rumors spread. Miranda's expression didn't soften. If anything, her eyes hardened. The tabloids can write what they want, she replied coolly. That doesn't mean I have to give them oxygen by responding. My private life is exactly that. Private. The audience shifted uncomfortably, sensing this was no longer about music or publicity. It was personal. Michael, however, seemed determined to get one last word in. Of course, I respect that, he said, his voice taking on a careful tone. But as a public figure, don't you think your fans expect a certain level of transparency? Miranda's head snapped slightly, her patience wearing thin. Transparency? She repeated sharply. Michael, my fans know me through my songs. They know my heart through my lyrics. That's all the transparency anyone needs. My marriage, my relationships, my personal life, those are mine. You're not entitled to them. A low gasp came from somewhere in the crowd. Even Michael's co-hosts, sitting off to the side, exchanged uneasy glances. The tension was now so thick you could have cut it with a knife. Michael exhaled slowly, his charming TV smile starting to slip. I didn't mean to cross a line, Miranda, he said quietly, but these are just questions people are curious about. Miranda's response was immediate and ice cold. Curiosity doesn't justify intrusion. You wanted a headline, Michael, not a conversation. Her words hit like a punch. The air practically crackled as the studio audience tried to process what they'd just witnessed. Michael fumbled, trying to salvage the situation. I'm sorry you feel that way, he murmured, his voice trembling slightly around the edges. Let's move on. Let's talk about your music again. But Miranda wasn't ready to let it slide. She leaned forward, her voice lower, more deliberate. You should have started and ended there, she said, her words carrying the weight of finality. The studio was silent again. the kind of silence that feels heavy enough to make your chest tighten. Michael glanced briefly toward the producers, who were gesturing frantically off camera, but he pressed on, desperate to steer things back on track. "So," he said, forcing another smile, "your upcoming tour, you're hitting major cities across the country. What can your fans expect from those shows?" Miranda exhaled through her nose, clearly trying to regain her composure. "They can expect a great show," she said flatly, "assuming they actually watch it instead of staring at their phones the whole time." That landed like a live wire. A few people in the audience laughed nervously. Michael, eager to diffuse the tension, tried to turn it into a joke. "We're back to the phone thing again, huh?" he said with an awkward chuckle. Miranda didn't laugh, not even close. "Yes, we're back to the phone thing, Michael," she snapped. "Because it's a real problem. You have no idea what it's like to pour your heart into a song and look out to see nothing but glowing screens. It's heartbreaking." Michael's composure cracked for the first time. His voice came out defensive, sharper than before. But isn't that just how fans show love now? They want to capture the moment, share it. There's nothing wrong with that. Miranda's response was fiery, almost trembling with emotion. There's everything wrong with it when it becomes an obsession. People aren't living in the moment anymore. They're performing it. Music isn't supposed to be filtered through a phone screen. It's supposed to be felt. The words echoed through the studio. The crowd was frozen, every eye locked on the two of them. Michael leaned in slightly, eyebrows raised. "But Miranda, you're on social media all the time. Isn't that a little hypocritical?" The entire room gasped. Even before she spoke, you could feel the eruption coming. Miranda turned toward him slowly, her expression unreadable, but her voice cutting through the air like steel. "Excuse me?" she said, her tone laced with disbelief. "Are you calling me a hypocrite on live television, Michael?" Michael's face paled, realizing he'd just crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. No, that's not what I meant," he stammered. "I'm just saying," but Miranda didn't let him finish. "You know exactly what you said. And you know there's a difference between sharing something on my terms and having my entire performance turned into a live stream by an audience that can't put their phones down for 5 minutes." The energy in the room was explosive now. You could practically feel the cameras trembling on their stands. Michael tried one last time to regain control, his voice rising slightly. "I think we're getting off track." "No," Miranda interrupted, standing up abruptly. "You got off track, Michael. You wanted drama, and now you've got it. But don't act like I'm the one who caused it." The audience gasped again as Miranda began unhooking her microphone. Michael's hands went up in panic. "Miranda, wait. Come on, don't walk out. We can finish this calmly." She didn't even look back. "No, you crossed a line," she said firmly. "I came here to talk about my music, not defend my marriage or justify my boundaries. You wanted a show, and congratulations, you just got one." The studio fell into chaos. The audience whispered in disbelief as Miranda walked off set, heels clicking against the stage floor like a drumbeat of finality. Michael stood frozen for a second before turning back to the camera, his face visibly shaken. "Well, that was unexpected," he said, voice trembling ever so slightly. "Miranda Lambert, everyone. We'll be back after this break." But the cameras didn't cut fast enough. From off-camera, Miranda's voice rang out, sharp and unapologetic. "And just for the record, Michael, my album's incredible. My tour's going to be amazing, and if anyone wants to talk about that, they can find me literally anywhere else." The camera zoomed back on Michael, whose face was now red with embarrassment. We're still live, Miranda," he said awkwardly. A pause. Then her voice again, calm but cutting. "I know, Michael, I know." The feed abruptly cut to commercial, but the damage was already done. By the time the clip hit the internet, it was everywhere. Millions of views within hours. Headlines blazed across every major outlet. Miranda Lambert walks out of explosive interview. Michael Strahan under fire after on-air clash. The internet had found its newest obsession. Within minutes of the broadcast ending, social media exploded. Clips of the fiery exchange spread like wildfire across every platform imaginable. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every feed was flooded with one moment. Miranda standing tall, ripping off her microphone, and walking off set while Michael sat frozen in disbelief. The hashtags, Miranda walks out, and Strahan interview gone wrong were trending within the hour. Fans split into two camps almost instantly. Team Miranda praised her for setting firm boundaries and refusing to let a morning show turn her private life into public spectacle. Team Michael defended him as just doing his job and accused Miranda of being too sensitive for live TV. In the chaos of the digital storm, one thing became clear. This wasn't just a TV moment anymore. It was a cultural flashpoint. Commentators, journalists, and influencers jumped into the conversation, dissecting every second of that tense exchange like it was a scene from a courtroom drama. Miranda was absolutely right, one journalist wrote. She came to promote her art, not to be ambushed. Too many interviewers mistake personal intrusion for journalistic courage. But others fired back, claiming Michael had done nothing wrong. A celebrity's life is public by definition, one critic argued. If you choose fame, you can't choose privacy. That's the trade-off. The arguments raged on, each opinion more impassioned than the last. Even celebrities chimed in, some applauding Miranda's strength, others quietly supporting Michael for asking what everyone was thinking. Meanwhile, inside the Good Morning America studio, things were far from calm. Producers scrambled behind the scenes trying to control the damage. The control room was buzzing with frantic voices as they tried to decide how to address what had just unfolded live in front of millions. One insider described the mood as pure panic. Nobody expected Miranda to walk out. "We've had tense interviews before," the source said, but this was different. The tension wasn't just professional, it felt personal. Michael Strahan himself was said to be shaken. Backstage, he was seen pacing, head in his hands, muttering to a staffer, "I just wanted an honest conversation." But the internet wasn't interested in explanations. The clip had already gone viral. By the end of the day, every entertainment site had covered it. Headlines screamed across the web, "Country Queen versus Morning Show Host, the clash that shook live TV." Miranda's meltdown or Michael's misstep? The narrative spun in every direction, and both reputations hung in the balance. 2 days later, Michael finally broke his silence. Sitting in his own Instagram video, he addressed the situation with a somber tone. "I want to sincerely apologize," he said. "My intention was never to make Miranda uncomfortable. I asked questions I thought the audience wanted answers to, but I realize now I crossed a line, and I respect her for standing her ground." The comment section was an absolute war zone. Some praised his humility. Others tore into him for apologizing at all. "You poked the bear, Michael," one user wrote. "Now, deal with the bite." But then, without fanfare or drama, Miranda spoke. She didn't do interviews or press tours. She simply posted a single statement to her millions of followers. It read, "I stand by every word I said. Respect is not negotiable. You can ask me about my music, my craft, my art, but not my personal life. That's my boundary. I walked off that stage because I refused to be anyone's spectacle. I'm proud of that." Within minutes, her post hit 1 million likes. Thousands of fans flooded the comments with support. "You didn't walk out," one fan wrote. "You walked tall." Still, not everyone was on her side. Pundits debated endlessly on talk shows and podcasts. Was Miranda defending her dignity or overreacting on live television? Did Michael do his job, or did he cross the ethical line between curiosity and intrusion? The clash had turned into something bigger, a debate about fame, privacy, and respect in the modern era. Every angle, every opinion, every tweet kept the story alive for weeks. Behind the scenes, the Good Morning America team quietly revised their interview protocols. One producer admitted off the record, "This was a wake-up call. We learned the hard way that not every question is worth the fallout." And for Miranda, the controversy only made her bigger. Her album sales skyrocketed. Concert tickets sold out nationwide. People who had never listened to her music before suddenly wanted to know the woman who walked out live on air without flinching. At her first concert after the incident, the crowd roared when she took the stage. Before singing her first song, she smiled and said into the mic, "I guess you all saw that interview, huh?" The audience erupted into cheers. Miranda laughed softly. "Good, then you know where I stand." That moment sealed it. What could have been a PR nightmare turned into a legend. Miranda Lambert, the woman who refused to be silenced, had turned controversy into empowerment. Weeks later, Michael himself reflected on the ordeal in an interview of his own. "I learned something that day," he admitted. "Sometimes the toughest questions aren't the ones we ask, but the ones that show us where our boundaries should have been." And with that, the firestorm finally began to fade. But the memory lingered, etched into television history as one of the most electrifying moments ever broadcast live. Fans, critics, and journalists still talk about it. Some call it Miranda's stand, others call it Michael's mistake. But everyone agrees on one thing: what happened that morning changed how the world looks at celebrity interviews forever. Because in that bright studio, under the soft glow of cameras and applause, two powerful people collided, one defending her truth, the other chasing it. And what followed was not just television, it was a lesson in pride, privacy, and power. And as the years go by, that moment will echo as a reminder. Authenticity always costs something, but for those brave enough to stand their ground, it's worth every second of the fallout.